Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish up with chapter number 1. This will be part 3, and in these notes we're briefly going to talk about the Spanish conquistadors. So just to give you a heads up, anytime that we are going to, you're going to be a remote learner for the day, these notes will be sort of more condensed than they would be within the classroom, but that might be, a little bit better for you as far as being an at-home learner, but we'll give you what you need as far as the note end of it anyway. All right, so yesterday we concluded with the Treaty of Tordesillas, where the Pope would create a line of demarcation, giving just a little bit of what we know of South America to the Portuguese, and the rest would belong to Spain. So they're going to have all of this new territory for exploration, and the Spanish conquistador to do his thing. And of course, a conquistador means a conqueror. So we're going to look at these notes today at various conquerors. We're also going to look at the encomienda system. So just pay close attention to this and make sure you take good notes with the lecture today. So the first thing we want to do is answer this question: what were the driving factors that influenced the Spanish conquistadors? As we said from yesterday, they were able to drive out the Muslim religion from eventually most of Spain, and then Granada falls, and then they are able to reunite Spain in Christianity, and this is going to enhance nationalism. This is going to motivate Spain there again to put their hat in the ring as far as exploration. So there again, with this lengthy Reconquista, that created a soldier class system who were no longer interested in labor or commerce. Now the motivating factor is explore and get or extract as much gold. Certainly not just from an economic perspective, but from a religious perspective. It is a way too that we can spread Christianity. And of course, the glory. Those are the 3 G's that you need to know when it comes to the workings of the Spanish conquistadors. They're operating under the theme of God, gold, and glory, and no particular order. But in order to do so, to be able to have the kind of success that they're looking for, they are going to incorporate the encomienda system that you see in the bottom part of the slide. Now, the encomienda system is or was originated from the early 16th century. The encomienda system is a Spanish system of control. It is a way to Christianize the land in which Spain would be granted tribute. It would require heavy manual labor. As a result of this system, Spain is going to become very wealthy. However, there would be resistance to the encomienda system. The Catholics would protest, certain Catholics would protest harsh treatment of the encomienda system. And on encomienda, basically, the Indians were commended or given to Spanish landlords. The idea of the encomienda was that the Indians would work and be converted to Christianity, but it was basically just slavery on a sugar plantation guised as missionary work. So fancy that. There again, many you're going to have various opinions as far as how these conquistadors are going to treat the Mesoamerican tribes. As you will notice in your guided reading, Sepúlveda, he is going to encourage the continuance of the Spanish conquistadors as far as defend them in what they're doing. De las Casas, on the other hand, is going to condemn Spanish mistreatment. So there were varying opinions in regards to that, and eventually this encomienda system would be replaced by African slave labor. We jump ahead a little bit when we get into English colonization in North America. Your indentured servitude would be replaced by the African slave labor in 1619. So just to sort of give you a heads up a little bit, there is, a synthesis connection or a continual trend as far as what the Spanish and the Portuguese in comparison to the English colonization, and they're very similar, in certain ways. All right, so there again, Reconquista sets the stage now for these Spanish conquerors to move in to South America and the Caribbean area, even Mexico, and in the Southwest that we currently associate in the United States, and they're going to be able to use this encomienda system. All right, so the first person we talk about is Vasco Nunez Balboa. Now, these Spanish conquistadors, you're probably going to get more detail in your textbook, and that's fine. We're just hitting the high notes here as far as, these particular conquerors here. Note this about Vasco Nunez Balboa. He would discover the Pacific Ocean across the Isthmus of Panama that you would see here. So he would find himself in this location, and he said, let's name this particular ocean the Pacific Ocean. So that's how we have a Pacific Ocean through Vasco Nunez Balboa. Next conqueror is going to be Ferdinand Magellan. Note about him that he would be the first to circumnavigate the globe, of course going completely around the world, so to speak, from a water perspective. But he was technically Portuguese, not really a Spanish conquistador, but we would note him in this category of notes as well. So first in circumnavigation of the earth. Okay, so remember that about Ferdinand Magellan. Juan Ponce de Leon, there again would be the first to get into North America, present day Florida. He would find himself as far north as St. Augustine that you see right here, and many of you may have been to St. Augustine. Beautiful city. I have been to the Fountain of Youth, where Juan Ponce de Leon had expected to had found it. I don't know really the motivation as far as what he chose as the Fountain of Youth. I don't know why he said, yeah, this is it right here. If you ever get the opportunity to drink from the Fountain of Youth, in which I have, it works, okay? It does a good job as far as restoration of youth. So, make sure that you take the initiative at some point in time and drink from the Fountain of Youth, but just be warned, it is not filtered water, so it has a very nasty taste. But hey, if it will restore my youth, by all means, drink away. Anyway, Ponce de Leon touches and names Florida. They're again looking for the legendary Fountain of Youth. Okay, so that was most noted of Juan Ponce de Leon. And there again, please remember that the first to ever colonize in North America was the Spanish. Okay, they were the first to colonize in North America, current day Florida. All right, so Francisco Coronado is next on our list as far as Spanish conquistadors. Coronado would venture into current Southwest U.S. looking for the legendary El Dorado City of Gold. Instead, he found the Pueblo Indians. And so, of course, these cities of gold were non-existent, but discovered the Grand Canyon and enormous herds of buffalo instead. So that was sort of the working capacity of Francisco Coronado. Hernando de Soto is on the list as well. De Soto would discover and cross the Mississippi River in 1540 through 1541. He would often engage in the brutal mistreatment of many of your American Indians along the way. And so there again, De Soto was mainly in the southeastern part of the United States and was most there again noted for his brutalization of the American Indian. All right. Francisco Pizarro in 1532. Francisco Pizarro was noted for the destruction of the Incas of Peru. And as a result would gain huge amounts of wealth for Spain. Okay, so it's just self-evident here that a lot of these conquistadors, brutalized the Mesoamerican Indians. Hernan Cortez, there again, probably most notable as far as what he done. He conquered the Aztecs. There again, the Aztecs attempted the Night of Sorrows, in which this took place. The Aztecs attempted to drive out the Spaniards out, but 1521 surrendered 300 years. There again, after 300 years of that, wiped out. The Aztecs' temples tore down, Christian cathedrals. Tenochtitlan, known as Mexico City, was eventually, overtaken. So there again, it was kind of Hernan Cortez, was a little sketchy, or a whole lot sketchy when it come to, the dealings with the Aztecs. When he appeared, they thought, of course, that he, was, godlike in form, and they done everything, to show respect to him. And show friendliness to him, but of course once that he stepped in and he saw all was what to be held, so to speak, he turned on the Aztecs and pretty much wiped them out. So there again, just more of oppression really that the conquistadors are bringing to Mesoamerica. There again, what I just explained is sort of within this slide of notes as well. So eventually the capital of Tenochtitlan that you see August 13, 1521 would be surrendered to Hernan Cortez. Okay, so the question says, how was the Spanish America different than the area previous dominated by Native Americans? By the mid-1500s, there were hundreds of Spanish cities and towns, especially in Peru and Mexico. Universities established in Mexico City and Lima, Peru. The mestizo culture would be developed as well. Now, a mestizo is a mix of Spanish and Indian blood, and then once you start to bring in your African slave labor and you have that mixing, you would have what is referred to as mulatto, a black and white mix. Okay, and that really started to manifest itself, once those conquistadors, moved onto the scene. How did Spain react to the growing French and British presence in the New World? There again, if you ever go to St. Augustine, Florida, you will see the fort that's there. There again, when word got out that France and the British presence, everybody's hands went up, so to speak, to protect what they felt like was theirs. There again, you start to see fortifications go up. I mean, really, that's one of the reasons why when you go to Jamestown Colony, that was established 1607, there's forts there. And, you know, blacksmiths are working continuously to develop a calibration, high calibration firearm that would pierce through Spanish, you know, armor. So there again, you know, don't get the idea that, you know, as a result of the Jamestown colonists, the English colonists coming to the New World, I mean, of course, they were reserved, and I'm sure had questions about Native Americans, but their number one fear was the Spanish, because they didn't know how far the Spanish had moved, you know, up the Atlantic coast. Yeah, all of these, the Spanish, and then once you get the French and the British, they jockey for position, and they really don't know, you know, where everybody's at. So yeah, it does motivate everybody to build forts. And you would see that fort in St. Augustine. You would see a fort in the Jamestown colony when the English arrive, and you've got certain forts, you know, even in New France later on. So yeah, absolutely. They are jockeying for that position. Now, what does the Black Legend mean? Is it a fair charge? The Black Legend concept that Spanish killed for Christ, there again stole natives' gold, infected them with smallpox, left misery behind to innocent peoples. All right, so the Black Legend is propaganda to say that, you know, what the Spanish done, you know, and the legend that's played up, you know, is black as far as, you know, its portrayal because of, excuse me, of the mistreatment of the Mesoamericans. And of course, Britain would play up this legend because they're in competition with the Spanish. And if they can borrow the imagery of the Spanish, it of course makes them look better as far as, you know, being more peaceful, etc. You know, but, you know, all European countries have, you know, I guess a tarnished out or a disposition to a degree because, you know, because of encroachment. So let's just put it that way. There again, but yeah, they're going to play it up. They're going to play the Black Legend up and make Spain look bad, so that, you know, they can move in hopes have a better working relationship. All right, so there again, while partly true, Spanish also incorporated cultures, laid foundation for nations, provided educational opportunities. So, of course, there's good and bad, you know, on both sides, you know, of the situation. There again, that is sort of the workings of the Black Legend there. The notion that Spaniards only brought bad things, murder, disease, and slavery, though true, they also brought good things such as law systems, architecture, Christianity, language, civilization, so that the Black Legend is partly, but not entirely, accurate, okay? So there again, it's all in the eye of the beholder. Okay, so that concludes the notes for chapter number 1. Please remember that you do need your 3 assignments for chapter 1, and we will either move on into chapter 2. We may even have a short quiz. I don't know yet what we'll do with that, but just for, you know, on your end of things, make sure you have those 3 assignments turned in, and you're good to go with chapter 1. All right, have a good day.